Welcome back into the GSMC Sports Podcast, as we are now going to be diving into some NFL preseason action. And the first thing that I want to take a look at is the performance of the rookie quarterbacks that we were able to see over the course of the weekend. We did get our first look at Drake May last Thursday, talked about it a little bit on Friday, so I'm not going to spend too much time there. May only got one drive, was a very quiet one. Pouring rain, the Patriots didn't even really let him throw the ball downfield, so not much you can take out of that whatsoever. But I want to start with the number one overall pick and Caleb Williams, who got, also, by the way, if Caleb Williams is getting multiple drives, Patriots kind of lame to not let Drake May, fly a little bit more, but again, whatever. Caleb Williams did end up playing 2 drives in this game, 20 plays total. That was sort of the expectation that he was going to get around 15. Ends up, because he and the Bears put together a couple of good drives, ended up coming out to 20 plays during that time. Caleb Williams, 4 of 7, throwing 95 yards, had 2 drives that, were moving down the field. Both of them ended up stalling out in the red zone. Ultimately, again, not going to overreact to anything. One of the times, he didn't even get a single pass attempt in the red zone. So, definitely not, and the second time, a key drop also sort of helped to stall that drive out. So I thought that Caleb Williams looked really comfortable, really sharp, sort of what we were expecting from him. His ability to be mobile, throwing on the run, and for whatever it's worth, I definitely don't need to put another person down to praise the present, but I think that obviously some of the biggest complaints around Caleb Williams while he was at school, and sort of how that mirrored the Bears' issue with Justin Fields, was the offensive line isn't elite, and both of them can have the tendency to take unnecessary sacks. And Caleb Williams, I thought the way that he was able to navigate around the pocket, granted, you're playing a backup defense, I fully understand, but Caleb Williams stayed on his feet the whole time, and again, was very sharp. Now, he did have one throw when the second drive kicked off. The Bears ended up starting up on their own 3-yard line, and on third down, he actually almost made a very costly mistake, made a risky throw off of his back foot to the outside that could have very easily been intercepted. Now, it didn't even matter because that should have ended the drive, but instead there ended up being an illegal contact call that extended it. And Caleb was able to respond well from there, and again, like I mentioned, get them all the way down the field into the red zone before things ended up stalling there. But outside of that one play, I thought that Caleb Williams looked incredible. Some really nice throws on third down, had a nice third down conversion with his legs as well, where he was able to pick up first down on 3rd and 9 by scrambling out of the pocket, keeping his eyes downfield the entire time, and legging that one out. I was very impressed with what we saw from Caleb Williams, and I've been very positive on him in terms of what he's going to be like as a pro prospect, and nothing that I saw from this game would necessarily turn me off of that idea. To be fair, don't think that there's anything that really could have happened in any of these games that would have made me feel super strongly about, whether or not I was right or wrong headed into their preseason evaluation. But number 2 overall pick, Jayden Daniels, like May, only got 1 drive, but was a much more productive drive for Washington than it was for New England if we're making comparisons there. It didn't look great off the jump. His first pass attempt, he just completely skied a screen attempt over the head of his running back, but he then ended up making a beautiful throw down the right sideline to De'Ami Brown that picked up 42 yards, and it was really good coverage as well, so he sort of put it right on the dime there. I thought it was an unbelievable throw. That was most of what we got from Jayden in that game. Now, he did also end up scoring the touchdown himself with his legs. The Commanders, out of the 11 plays on the drive, 8 of them were on the ground, so it's not like we got all that much of a sample size from Jaden Daniels' arm other than that throw that he made to Brown. But he ends up scoring the touchdown himself on a read option that he ended up keeping himself and bouncing to the outside. So I think that that's going to be something interesting too, is to look at how much the Commanders are going to utilize his legs throughout his rookie season, because it is such a weapon for him. He's a little bit of a skinnier guy. He's been prone to taking unnecessary hits. You could leave it at that. You could be more harsh about it as well, where he gets himself killed at times. But I am curious to see his development in terms of understanding his importance level almost to the team. And this is the NFL now. You're not going to be able to get away with putting yourself in vulnerable positions and on a consistent basis. So Jaden Daniels, it was a nice debut. Again, very limited as to what we saw from him, but ultimately pretty good overall. Then skipping over Drake May here, Michael Penix Jr., obviously a little bit of a controversial pick for the Falcons at the time. And again, especially for somebody who feels so NFL ready in Michael Penix Jr. from day one, that was kind of the idea, that he already is this older prospect and that he is going to, sort of have enough pro-ready talent that why sit him for these next 3-4 seasons. But ultimately, I mean, it is what it is. He ends up playing in this game and on Friday, and I thought that he was very impressive. He played the entirety of the first quarter, and I thought that out of all the rookies, he might have been the second best performer along those lines. Not going to sit here and power rank the performances from rookie quarterbacks based off of a preseason game, but 9 of 16, 104 yards. Had a couple things that didn't necessarily go his way. One of his receivers fumbling, for example, as well, that I feel like we could have gotten a lot more of a Michael Penix experience if he was able to stick around a little bit longer on some of those drives. He ended up getting 3 of them. Like I mentioned, it was a fumble on one of them. It was 3 and out on the first drive. So ultimately, I thought he looked really nice. Some good deep balls as well. The pass that he had down the right sideline to Chris Blair, that was a really nice one. I thought he made all of the right decisions. The just precision was maybe a little bit off on some throws that led to some incompletions, but I don't think that he put the ball in harm's way himself. I thought he had a really good control and feel for the game as a whole, and I was really positive on it. Again, though, I just kind of feel like I'm so disappointed he's on the Falcons because we're not going to get to see him for so long. But I think that if you're a Falcons fan and you're buying into whatever the plan may be here with Penix moving forward, I do think that he's going to be a good quarterback. It's just a matter of when is he actually going to get the opportunity to show that off himself. But we also had the 10th overall pick in J.J. McCarthy make his debut. We got a lot of runway out of him. Sam Darnold ended up starting in this game, and ultimately, I think that Darnold was fine, I suppose. I get that they're maybe going to try and let J.J. McCarthy, who hasn't necessarily had to the opposite point of Michael Penix a little bit. I think that McCarthy doesn't have a lot of experience as being a consistent, I am the guy throwing wise, and the identity of the team is sort of through me. And I'm not really all that much of a believer in the run game of the Vikings, that it would definitely be a pretty steep step in week 1. We did see McCarthy's day start with an interception, which was a pretty bad decision, throwing into double coverage and ends up getting intercepted. But I thought he responded really well from that. Final stat line, 11 for 17, 188 yards, 2 touchdowns. I think that for McCarthy, again, it's not necessarily raw talent, but it is going to take some time, I think, before he's fully comfortable And I definitely expect speed bumps along the way for McCarthy and his understanding. It's a reps thing for him because he wasn't asked to be the lead guy for it, and it wasn't an air raid offense that he was playing in at Michigan. It was very deliberately more ground and pound, but the talent is definitely there. So somebody that I think he's not going. I don't think he's going to be the week 1 starter, but we should see him this season, and I'm definitely looking forward to it. And then last guy I want to touch on here is Bo Nix, who Broncos played the Colts just yesterday on Sunday afternoon, and Bo Nix had a couple plays early on that were a little bit iffy. His first pass was almost an interception that, the D-back just couldn't hold on to. He was under pressure, and he just didn't have enough arm on it at the time, which is one of the biggest knocks with Bo Nix is, does he have the arm strength? Does he have a strong arm? And I think that that's going to be a question that probably follows him around for a good bit. But after that, I thought that he did a really good job from there. I was really impressed with a throw that he had on a 3rd down while he was on the run. Hit Cam Sutton right on the sideline for a little toe drag swag. He threw a touchdown as well. It was a pretty quick speed out to the outside it was... I don't even know exactly who the receiver was at the time, honestly. It was a pretty simplistic play, 3rd and goal, and he was able to put one in the end zone there, so that's definitely a positive. He ended up going 15 of 21, 125 yards, and a touchdown. So overall, I thought it was some pretty impressive debuts, showed a lot of arm talent across the board for these 5 guys that played over the course of the weekend, obviously excluding Drake May from that conversation. But I think that it's going to be a lot of fun to see how all of this plays out and what opportunities they're given, because obviously a lot of them in different situations. And that is something that I want to touch on as well in the next segment here, where Bo Nix he ended up coming off of the bench in this game. Jarrett Stidham getting the first couple series to himself before Bo Nix comes into the conversation. So I want to look at that situation in Denver as well as a couple other ones and talk about what we could have seen from preseason that could indicate when we could be getting a decision on who the starters are going to be and when they will be named. So we're going to be diving into all of that, but first a quick break. Stick with us and we will be right back.
For the best and latest podcast